Hello, and welcome to Manpower. I hope you've had a great experience with us so far. The purpose of this orientation is to introduce you to Manpower's Health and Safety Program, the policies that form part of our program, and the procedures we will take to ensure that you're safe when you're working on an assignment. By the end, you will know what your responsibilities are as an associate, what your rights are relative to your health and safety at work, and be trained on some general safe operating practices which will help to keep you safe. You have in front of you your personal copy of Manpower's Health and Safety Guide for Associates. Please follow along with your guide, take notes, and mark any areas or topics which you would like to go over with your Manpower representative in the event that you have any questions or need clarification. We've got a lot to cover, so let me give you a bit of a roadmap. We will start with the foundation of our program, Manpower's Health and Safety Policy, your rights and responsibilities as an associate, where you can find posted health and safety materials, and some information about first aid. We'll then cover some important things you should know when working on an assignment at one of our client sites, and what you should do if you are asked to perform work which is different from what was originally described to you. We will also talk about what to do if you identify a hazard while working and your right to refuse unsafe work under certain circumstances. There is also certain work which you should not perform, and we'll talk about that. Although you may be assigned to perform work in a variety of work environments, there are some safe operating procedures and safety rules you should follow no matter what the environment. You will receive some general training on the control of hazardous energy, as well as personal protective equipment. Although we sincerely hope you will never be injured on the job, we will tell you what to do in case you are. And finally, we will review your accountability for safety at work. So let's get started. At the foundation of our health and safety program is our health and safety policy. Manpower is committed to and responsible for providing a safe and healthy working environment for all of its employees. We are committed to preventing occupational illness and injury in the workplace. Concern for our employees' health and well-being is and will remain a top priority at all levels. This commitment includes the implementation of a safety program that defines key safety rules, the roles and responsibilities of management and employees, and procedures to ensure that working conditions are safe. Manpower acknowledges that a successful policy relies on management commitment to safety, active employee participation, and thorough prevention procedures. Manpower will abide by all safety regulations as outlined in applicable legislation. As an employee, you should know that you have three basic rights: the right to know, the right to participate, and the right to refuse unsafe work. The right to know. All employees have the right to know the hazards in their job. The right to participate. All employees have the right to take part in keeping the workplace healthy and safe. And the right to refuse. If you believe the work you are asked to perform is likely to endanger your health and safety or that of others, you may refuse to do it by following the appropriate process. Our health and safety policy reflects Manpower's core values and recognizes the importance of work in people's lives. When coming to work, you should expect to be treated with respect and to be safe. For this reason, we have implemented a workplace violence and harassment policy which emphasizes our commitment to a violence-free and harassment-free workplace, and we have adopted a zero-tolerance policy. Violence, threats of violence, use of statement or behavior that is reasonable to be interpreted as a threat to exercise physical force or intimidation of any employee or clients will not be tolerated. Some examples of violence include hitting or shoving an individual, threatening to harm an individual or that person's family, the intentional damage or destruction or threat of damage or destruction to property, harassing or threatening phone calls, harassing surveillance or stalking, the suggestion that violence is appropriate, possession or use of firearms or weapons under any circumstances on Manpower or client property. You also have the right to work in an environment that is free from harassment, hostility, or intimidation. Harassment and sexual harassment or discriminatory conduct based on any of the protected grounds will not be tolerated. Some examples of harassment include bullying, teasing, intimidating, offensive jokes, displaying or circulating offensive pictures or materials, offensive or intimidating phone calls. You are expected not to engage in acts of harassment or violence against others, nor should you be the victim of harassing or violent comments or acts. You can report concerns or incidents of harassment or violence by contacting your local Manpower representative. We will take your report seriously and follow an appropriate investigation process. You should also know that committing an act of harassment or violence is subject to discipline. If you are experiencing violence outside of the workplace, such as domestic violence, that may create a risk or danger to yourself or others in the workplace, we encourage you to report it to your Manpower representative so that we can take the appropriate steps to ensure the safety of all employees. We will work collaboratively with you to find the best way to keep you and others safe as possible while protecting your privacy as much as we can. The use of illicit drugs and alcohol can have serious adverse effects on the safety and well-being of you and everyone you work with. Because of that, we maintain an alcohol and drug-free workplace. Manpower prohibits its employees from the workplace consumption, manufacturing, sale, or purchase of narcotics, drugs, alcohol, or any other illegal or controlled substance. This includes the illegal possession and use of these substances. This also includes the consumption prior to reporting to the workplace. Violations of this policy will be reported by Manpower to police authorities. Being under the influence of drugs or alcohol at work not only puts you in danger, but all of those around you. We all have responsibilities for health and safety. Let's go through some of yours as an associate. It is your duty to know and to follow all of Manpower's safety rules and procedures as outlined in your guide. At the same time, you should become familiar with the job site safety rules and safe work practices for each of your assignments. Your health and safety guide outlines the complete list of your responsibilities, and you should take the time to read this section in detail. Let me highlight some of them for you. You must work in compliance with all applicable legislation. You should use or wear all personal protective equipment or clothing that is required to be used or worn while on assignment. Be alert to see that all machine guards and other protective devices are in place and properly adjusted. You should never remove or make ineffective any protective device or mechanical safeguards, and you should report any absence or defect in any equipment or protective device which may endanger you or another worker. Report any violation of applicable health and safety legislation or any hazards that you become aware of. Never operate equipment or act in an unsafe manner on the job, including horseplay. You are not required to participate in any medical surveillance program unless you consent to do so. Additionally, you should recognize and report the hazards that may be present on the job and take the necessary precautions to keep yourself and others safe. You should not undertake a job until you have received on-site instructions on how to do it properly. We hope you will never be injured at work, but if you are, report it immediately to your on-site supervisor and Manpower representative. Having access to information is a very important part of Manpower's health and safety program. Every Manpower office maintains a health and safety bulletin board. This board provides important safety information such as provincial occupational health and safety legislation, applicable regulations, a copy of the emergency evacuation plan for that location, emergency phone numbers, our first aid policy, and other postings that we think you will find informative and will help to keep you safe. We encourage you to review the bulletin board every time you visit our office. Every Manpower location is also equipped with the necessary first aid supplies and certified first aiders to administer first aid when necessary. When we work with a client, Manpower visits their worksite and tours the facility where our associates might work. We take the time to identify any workplace hazards that may be present on site and to review their site-specific safety information and make sure we understand your responsibilities while on assignment there. This information helps us determine what skills are required to perform the job and to make the best match based on your knowledge, skills, and abilities to work productively and keep everyone safe. Conducting a work environment summary helps us gather relevant information which we will share with you and offer you an assignment. When you begin an assignment, there are some things that you should do. Know and follow the visitor sign-in procedures if you are asked to do so. Locate the Health and Safety Bulletin Board or where health and safety material is posted on site. Know what emergency evacuation procedures are. Locate MSDS sheets if applicable. Understand any lockout procedures. This may be referred to as control of hazardous energy sources. Know what personal protective equipment is required and make sure you receive the appropriate training. Make sure you find out how to receive first aid if needed. And familiarize yourself with other safe operating procedures or specific training you may need to do your job. When we offer you an assignment, we will describe the work to you. While on that assignment, you should not perform any task or use equipment that is different from what was originally described to you. Talk to your Manpower representative first so that we can make sure you receive the necessary training and instruction to perform those tasks safely. For office workers, most general office tasks may be considered routine work, even if not performed on a regular basis. However, if you're not sure or you have any safety concerns, don't hesitate to speak to your Manpower representative. The goal of proactively identifying and reporting safety hazards is to prevent accidents from happening. While you're on an assignment, or when you're in a Manpower office, you have the responsibility to report any workplace hazards which come to your attention. A hazard is anything that has the potential to cause damage, harm, or adversely affect one's health. Some examples of hazards are an object that could fall from a height, spills or other slip or tripping hazards, or faulty equipment. An unsafe act is a behavior which could lead to an accident or incident, such as using equipment in an unsafe way or careless manner, or not using your personal protective equipment. If you see or feel that there is a hazardous condition or act in the workplace, you should take the following steps. Immediately advise your supervisor at the client site of the hazard and complete Manpower's hazard reporting form and give it to your Manpower representative. Once we have received your hazard reporting form, we will review it and work with the right people to evaluate and respond to your report. A copy of Manpower's hazard reporting form can be found at the back of your Health and Safety Guide for Associates, and additional copies can be found on the Associate Resource Center or at your local Manpower office. Your responsibility as an employee is to immediately report to your supervisor the existence of any hazard that you are aware of and to assist in the control of the hazard whenever possible. Manpower's commitment is to eliminate or control hazards in the workplace by working together with you and our clients. You may refuse to work or do particular work where you have reason to believe that any equipment, machine device, or thing that you are to use or operate is likely to endanger yourself or another worker. The physical condition of the workplace or part thereof in which you work or are to work is likely to endanger you. Or any equipment, machine device, or thing that you are to use or operate, or the physical condition of the workplace or part thereof in which you work or are to work is in contravention of any applicable health and safety legislation, and such contravention is likely to endanger you or another worker. When refusing to perform work for any of these reasons, there is a specific process we follow. We ask that you promptly report the situation to your immediate client supervisor and your Manpower representative. The client supervisor and your Manpower representative will immediately investigate the circumstances. You must remain in a safe place near your workstation during the investigation. If it is determined that this is not a dangerous situation or the situation has been controlled, you may then resume your work duties. A report of the circumstances is provided to Manpower's Health and Safety representative. If steps were taken to deal with the situation and you continue to feel that the work is unsafe, there are particular circumstances in which you may refuse to do that particular work. In these circumstances, the appropriate provincial government body may be called in to review the situation in accordance with that province's legislation. Please also note that you may not exercise your right to refuse work if by refusing to perform the work you put the life, health and safety, or physical well-being of another person in immediate danger, or if the conditions under which the work is to be performed are ordinary conditions in your kind of work. It is Manpower's policy to only accept work which is within an acceptable level of risk and which we can appropriately recruit, screen, and ensure the safety of our associates. As a result, a list of prohibited work has been identified, which lists the work that Manpower Canada will not assign associates to. As an associate, you should familiarize yourself with this list and notify your Manpower representative if you are asked to conduct any work which is listed as prohibited in your guide. We encourage you to review this section carefully before you start an assignment.